Save 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. I'm sure you've heard that advice at least 100 times, and it's good advice for someone with a steady paycheck. But when you're a business owner and your income swings from great to rough and back again, that advice kind of falls apart. How do you save consistently when there's nothing consistent about your income? That's what we're solving today. Welcome to Cash Grab from Benchmark Ledger Solutions. I'm Kimmy. Today we're talking about personal emergency funds, why the standard advice doesn't quite fit business owners, and a framework that actually does. Let's get started with why emergency funds matter even more for business owners than for employees. If you work for someone and you have a slow month, you still get your paycheck. If you run a business and you have a slow month, there is a possibility you might not. That's the whole game. Your income has a downside risk that a salaried employee doesn't, so your personal safety net needs to be bigger and smarter. The conventional advice, 3 to 6 months of expenses, is actually a minimum for business owners, not a target. Most financial planners who work with self-employed people suggest 6 to 12 months. I know that sounds like a lot. We'll get to how to build a full year of an emergency fund. First, a quick note on where to keep your emergency fund. It should be in a high-yield savings account, separate from your regular checking account, separate from any investment account. You want it liquid enough, meaning that you can access it within a few days, but not so liquid that you're tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. High-yield savings accounts at online banks like Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Ally, or SoFi are great for this because they earn better interest than a traditional brick-and-mortar bank. And they're a bit more out of sight, out of mind. Now, do you build one when your income is irregular? The key is to save a percentage rather than a fixed dollar amount. Instead of saying, I'll save $500 a month, try, I'll save 10% of every dollar that hits my personal account. When you have a great month, you pay yourself more, you save more. When it's your lean month, you save less, but you still have something. This approach helps scale with reality instead of fighting against it. Make sure you set up your automatic payments on the same day so that you can pay yourself on that same day and start building consistency. The moment your owner's pay hits your personal account, 10% goes straight into the emergency fund. You don't see it, you don't touch it, it just accumulates. Give yourself a target to work toward. Take your monthly baseline expenses from the last week's episode and multiply it by 9. That's your emergency fund goal. It might take a couple of years to get there, and that's totally fine. The point is to make progress consistently, not to hit the number overnight. If you run into an emergency and you have to take from it, the important thing is not to not take from the account. The important thing is to take the money, spend it on the emergency, then go back to saving in that emergency fund like you were previously. It is to stay on track and stay consistent, regardless of what has happened. Here's your grab. Business owners need a bigger emergency fund than employees. Aim for 9 to 12 months for personal expenses, not 3 to 6. Number 2, save a percentage of income rather than a fixed dollar amount. 10% of every personal paycheck automatically transferred works with your income variability instead of against it, like a fixed amount does. Number 3, keep your emergency fund in a high-yield savings account that's separate and slightly out of reach. Out of sight really does mean out of mind, and if you're not seeing it, you're less tempted to spend it. This episode is brought to you by Benchmark Ledger Solutions, your partner for business accounting, bookkeeping, and financial clarity. Learn more at benchmarkledgersolutions.com. Next week, we're going to do our first tool spotlight of the season, and it's one of my favorites. We're going to be looking at why NAB you need a budget, and specifically how it works for people with irregular income. Stick around, and I'll see you Monday.